Hello everyone, welcome to another segment of Abalandeli Belanga. It's your host Yaunga Umlandeli Belanga, the one true faithful follower of the sun. I'm coming to you in the hour of Unomakama, Saturn. Let's wrap up Capricorn. We want to be looking at astrology, cosmology, cosmogony. We want to add health, and then we're also going to take it to the cosmogony, or how matter forms as it prolates out of the stable of Jau, or out of the manger of the Capricorn goat. Let's get into it. In the northern hemisphere, from the 21st of December to the 21st of January, which is the 21st of June to the 21st of July for us in the southern hemisphere, the sun is in Capricorn. The word January is derived from the Roman word Janu, or Janus, which transliterates to John or June, Jane, Janu or Janus, the god of all beginnings, presiding over the beginning of human life, all human life, and the beginning of the agricultural year. Janus is pictured having two faces, one looking in opposite directions. One face is that of an old man, Father Time, Idaima, the past year, and the other is that of youth, the beginning, the new year. This is the image from Kemet now of Set and Heru. Set on one body, Set or Saturn faces back and Heru looks forward into the coming year. The same story told differently. One of the popular fables of Greek mythology is the story of Jupiter, Umkhulu Khulwane, who is suckled by the goat Amalthea, and this happens every day. Now the story says Jupiter would have starved to death if it wasn't for the goat climbing the mountain Olympus with his food every day. And as a sign of gratitude, Amalthea is placed among the stars as the constellation Capra, which means the goat. These now are the group of stars surrounding Ukapela, the constellation Capella, meaning little goat. In isiZulu now we call Capella Inqonqolo. And in these allegories, nature, nurture, care is symbolized by the figure of the goat man Pan. Now Pan esoterically means feeder, nutrient. To the Greeks, he is the god of shepherds, flocks, the woods, the fields. Klein and others suggest that the Greek word is cognate with the Sanskrit word pusan, the guardian and multiplier of cattle and other human possessions. Pusan is said to be the nourisher from the Pi root pe, meaning to protect. In Zulu we have the word ngipe, as in give, interestingly enough. But others doubt this. Pan is the root of words such as pantry, the place where we keep food, nurture. A pan is a receptacle that we use to contain food or water or other substances. The word also means all. In Latin, the word means bread. The scriptures tell us that Jesus, the scapegoat, is called the bread of life. We also have the word panacea, or I hope I'm saying it correctly, meaning a solution or remedy for all diseases. And rightly considered, our food is our panacea, the means by which we can heal all diseases in the body. Hippocrates says, "Let thy food be thy medicine, and let thy medicine be thy food," because food quite literally contains all the salts or mineral substances required by the cells of the body. It's intended to do this. But now, for many reasons, this has become nearly impossible. We live to eat instead of eating to live. On top of this, our soil is depleted. It's no longer able to grow chemically balanced food. Let's not even get into the conversation about pesticides and GMO. It's a mess. Another problem we have here is our organs are becoming incapable of efficient digestion and assimilation of our food into the 12 parts of the body. Now, in our bodies, the god Capricorn pertains to the sacrum, albumin, the knees, and bone structure, the kneecaps. Just to backtrack a little, what is albumin? Albumin is a protein made by the liver. It enters the bloodstream and helps us keep fluid from leaking out of the blood vessels into the tissues. It also carries hormones, vitamins, and enzymes throughout our bodies. Now, without albumin, fluid can leak out of the blood and build up in the lungs, the abdomen, the belly area, as well as other parts of the body. That's albumin. Back to the lesson. Now, in the Lord's Prayer, Capricorn is that segment which says the power and the glory. Sagittarius is the thigh. That part is, for thine is the kingdom. The thigh, the knee, and bone structure is the support, the foundation of the kingdom, or the temple of Solomon. Man is the measure of the universe. All this knowledge, rightly understood, can teach us the building system of nature, of which it's quite different from the one being taught in schools, universities, and academia. But indigenous systems that later on became all these subjects that we see in the Kabbalistic, arts, the 7 liberal arts, all that knowledge, rightly contextualized, put together, it is actually a working system that can teach anything and everything about our existence and how this existence is happening. As above, so below. As within, so without. Man, know thyself, and thou shalt know the universe and God. Seek ye first the starry kingdom of God, and everything else shall be added unto thee. We also find the root word cap in words such as captain. Have you ever wondered why there's such an obsession with rank, following protocols, and rigidness within the schools zobungoma? Well, that's the goat. That's the goat and the sergeant Sagittarius. That's that energy right there. It's the bones. Ever wondered why so many of our rituals seem to require the slaughter of a goat? What do these things mean? In some of our initiations, amatwasa drink goat blood mixed with certain roots, and then it's regurgitated. What do these things mean? The goat symbolizes the zero of beginning, the setting in the ecliptic. The goat marks the rebirth in matter, enyameni, the coming forth or the breaking forth. Ithwasa aliphumi ephehlweni without imbuzi, marking that rebirth. The goat is the foundation, the framework of society, the commonwealth of human interests. It marks the start of the civil work year. All businesses, trusts, organizations, industries, labor force, they are all under this emblem. Oh, hail the goat. Mbuzigazi. Meh. Let's switch it up a notch. Let's get into solar biology. Now we say Capricorn is the knees, the bones. Our bones represent the foundation stones and framework of the soul's temple, or Solomon's temple. Our bone tissue is composed of phosphate of lime or calcium phosphate. We find this salt in foods with this hue. One of the uses of calcium phosphate is the formation of bones. The foundation of any building is constructed first. It is the oldest part of the building or the body. This is true of Saturn, the ruler of Capricorn, who is called Father Time or the Ancient of Days, umdala wensuku. The bony framework of the body is the foundation of the kingdom. Bones remain in the grave for ages, long after we have gone, before converting into dust, izintuli, then returning ethongweni kwantu. Our beginning. The bones contain the complete history of a person, from birth all the way to death. All the records are in the bones. The bones are the secret archives that don't decay as quickly as flesh. In the book of Genesis, we find Joseph making his children take an oath. Do not leave my bones in Egypt, for in these bones is recorded the covenant that covers you for all your days. Do not leave my bones in Egypt. Remember, futhi ngesintu, our ancestors are supposed to be ejalidini, but today we don't do this. Today, this is done through cremation. Then having a space or a shrine in the house where now these ashes will sit or be placed. Another way of doing this is making burial chambers, like the catacombs. In the first season of Star Trek Discovery, I remember something that grabbed my attention. When they showed the spaceship of this very warrior-like tribe, the Klingons. Their ship was said to be covered by the coffins of their ancestors. The ship was powered by the coffins of our ancestors. In a science fiction program, I found that to be quite interesting. Now, without sufficient lime in the body, no bone can be formed. The bone is the foundation of the body. A building must first have a foundation before the structure can be erected. The work of building and erecting the temple of matter starts with the goat. Revelation 2:17 says, "To him that overcometh, I will give a white stone, and in the stone a new name written, which no man knoweth, saving he that receives it." Lime is white. The alchemical formula for the white stone is calcium phosphate. According to Dr. Washington Carey, when molecules of lime phosphate fall below the standard in the body, a disturbance often occurs in the bone tissue. Then the bones become brittle and decay. The destruction of any kind of bone structure, whether it be the skull, the ribs, the teeth, and others, or any type of bone, is an indication that lime is missing. Phosphate of lime is the worker in albumin. It carries into the bone and uses it as cement in the making of bones. The good doctor goes on to say that when the goat salt is deficient in the gastric juices and bile, ferments arise from undigested foods. Acids from the latter find their way into joint fluids of the legs, the arms, or the hands, often causing severe pain. Today we call this rheumatism. But in actuality, non-functioning albumin caused by a lack of lime phosphate is actually the root cause of all eruptions, abscesses, catarrh, and many other so-called diseases in the body. We've now dealt with the sun's position, how the sun's position at this point relates to the human body. And now I am going to add on cosmogony. Build with me. Now the letter O, the O-ring, the Om, the 16th letter of the alphabet, which is ayin in Hebrew, has somewhat the same meaning as the first letter A, but in a deeper essence. The letter A represents the appearing of matter into the world of senses. The letter A is the Aleph in Hebrew, the pictogram of the bull, the beast of labor. Now the symbols of Aries and Taurus mark the commencement of labor season, spring and summer. In the 24-hour period, it's the sunrise, that's Aries the fire, followed by Taurus the bull of labor. Taurus is an earth sign, that's matter, inyama. The sun in spring and summer gives us tangible product, inyama, or the produce. Now the esoteric truth here is the tangible produce or the effect becomes available to the senses at sunrise or spring. But the 0 point, the point of creation, lies in the letter O in Capricorn, the midnight hour. And in that hour, the one God, undivided, undifferentiated, must divide into two halves of the circle in order to manifest the material plane. The materialization process begins in the world beyond the senses, in the dark of night. Seeds sprout in deep darkness underground. We become aware of it when it springs out of the ground or shoots out of the ground. That's sunrise. God or it must divide, must become two halves of a circle in order to manifest positive and negative, male and female, negative and positive electricity, dual power, dual operation, the dual force. Baba Mutwa, peace and love unto the ancestor. He calls this the spirit of hot and cold. In the theology of the Egyptians, it's Shu and Tefnut. Ever noticed the spin? Samasiyon. A circle within a circle, in a room, in a rectangular room or in a cube room, full of candles and charged bodies, synchronized into one beat. In a circle they go, and then at the height of that excitation, the discharge happens, boom, and then bouts of uncontrollable excitement and prophecy and healing and screaming fills the air. Now, the first shape matter takes before becoming a symmetrical sphere is a ring. Spheres of matter start out as rings created by inert gases in space. Tenuous space acted upon by two desires of God. The desire to leap out from eternal rest and express idea in motion. And the desire to void all that motion and return to a state of eternal rest. When these two desires act upon inert gases, this is what happens. The desire for motion, or the spirit of hot, compresses inert gases or electrons into hot spheres of matter, inyama. while the desire to void all motion and return to rest, or the spirit of cold, expands all light wave particles of matter into space, where all motion is voided. In the electric universe, matter is recognized as being both a light wave and particle or corpuscle. Seemingly dense matter is only but one half of the life and death cycle of all matter in the universe. Matter is made of light, and all light is wave motion. Light manifests as a wave, and all waves have a trough and a crest. All light waves manifest symmetrical form at wave amplitude. That's the crest of the wave. This is the cycle or the charging cycle in the wave. Then from there, form must be voided. Decay sets in. Form dematerializes into the zero of its beginning in space. This is the death cycle. Then we repeat. At wave trough, inert gases compress to form rings of light. Then the ring prolates and oblates into a spheroid, and then finally at wave amplitude the sphere reaches symmetrical form. When this principle is expressed in the zodiac, it's the journey of light or the sun from the goat Capricorn, the rebirth, to Leo, the return of the king. When this principle is now expressed in the zodiac, it's the journey of light or the sun from the goat, the low point in Capricorn, the rebirth, to the return of the king, the second coming in Leo. This is now the course of the year. It is the heat of the sun in Leo, January going into February, that ripens the late harvest. Spheres reach symmetrical form at wave amplitude. That's Leo. That's the wave cycle of light, the sine wave or the sin of Eve, the perpetual life and death cycle of God, the God, the generator, operator, and destroyer, Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu, the proton, neutron, and electron. All wave particles, they start out as a proton, a charge, the generator. In the zodiac, this is the journey from Capricorn again to Leo, the vitalizing half of the cycle. When the wave particle reaches symmetrical form in Leo, it becomes a neutron, neither charging nor discharging, having reached its zero enyameni. The same way, tension and strain between oxygen and hydrogen void each other to form water. Once enyameni, the battle between heat and cold balances out in form, structure. The electric strains and tensions between Shu and Tefnut are no longer there. When this happens, who appears? Geb, form, matter appears. Then in the late harvest, in the scales of Libra, we go through the day of equal night and equal day, the equinox, the point of neutrality. Hence we say the light particle is now a neutron on its way to becoming an electron, the discharge. This is still the same particle of light. It's still the same particle of light. These are not different particles. The only change is conditioning. Then from here, it must change its condition to that of voidance and decay. This now begins at harvest in the scales of Libra. As the sun dips below the horizon into autumn, the decay begins, the going back to its zero of beginnings in Capricorn. The light particle must now discharge, voiding all form and motion. It's now an electron. That's how the life and death cycle plays out. It's that simple. Every electron starts out as a proton. Then it becomes a neutron at wave amplitude. Then when all motion is voided, it becomes an electron. As I've said, this is a system for teaching all things. It's the theology of all ages. Physics comes from the sun's ecliptic. We are followers of the sun. Now, to expand on this, I'm going to use a ball as an example. Now, if we throw a ball in the air, when it leaves the hand, it is charged with motion. It's a proton. And as it travels up, that charge is slowly dissipated until at wave amplitude it reaches its peak of upward travel. At this point, it is neither going up or going down. This is the solstice point. All upward momentum has been dissipated. It's neutral. It's now a neutron. Then the discharge or the free fall back to the hand must begin. And now it's an electron. It's still the same ball. The only thing that changes are the pressure conditions acting on the ball. I will keep it at that without getting too technical and too sciencey. But the point here is, and I hope it's becoming clear, that the system that is being used currently in academia and our universities is not the system that nature unfolds before our eyes each and every season, each and every year. There are some differences. This is the coordinating order now of the system of 12. The sine wave or the sin of Eve can teach us everything that we need to understand about the physical world and the world that is beyond our senses. This is the beauty of the teaching of oneness. Ungalana. Thank you for listening.